Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for spending more time with me on another interview into the why and the workings of another entrepreneur in South Africa. So today I'm very excited to be introducing you to Dorothy van Riet. She's an interior designer and she does some really, really incredible work. And I'm very, very excited for her to tell us her story today. So over to you, Dorothy.
Thank you, Melanie, and good afternoon. Thank you so much for the opportunity of chatting to you and to your viewers about something I love so much, which is my passion and my design. And just to say, I've so admired you over the years of everything that you've done and all your gorgeous newsletters. I really, really enjoy getting them and seeing all the colorful things that you're doing. I love it.
Thank you.
It's very inspiring.
Thank you.
So as you mentioned, I'm an interior designer and I have my own company, and I've been in business for over 30 years. So I'm the founder and principal designer of Dorothy van Riet, Design and Decor Consultants. And what I do is I create beautiful spaces, and I've been doing that for 30 years. So I take ugly space and I create it into a beautiful space. So that's what I do, and I love doing what I've done. So before I share my story, I was thinking about where we are at the moment in our country, and I've come to realize that over the 30 years that I've been in business, it's such a privilege to actually own a company during these times. And I believe that as business owners, it's important to see ourselves in context. And by that, I mean context of a magnificent country with great human potential and resources, but a country that is surrounded by dire poverty, joblessness, hunger, and despair. And I believe more than ever before that we as entrepreneurs, as the rainmakers, as creators, people that have skills and abilities to create something from a simple idea or a dream, that is an absolute privilege and a responsibility to grow great businesses. Because at the moment, we're thinking of how to cut back, how to do this, how to do that, but it's actually in times like this that when there's such poverty is to actually think of ways we can grow the business, get more ideas, extra ideas, and create job opportunities to grow and train the human potential in this country. And so we can be part of the changing face of this country. And I truly believe with entrepreneurs, designers, people in our industry, that we can take it from poverty to abundance. And I think we have the responsibility, and we have the ability and the responsibility. So I find it, although a very difficult time, I find it a time where there's a huge amount of opportunity where we can actually embrace our gifts and our creative ideas. We can formulate, we can implement them, and be an absolute integral part to the change and the transformation. And, you know, even if it's creating one job, that's one extra person that can feed 6 people. 10 jobs, even better, 100 jobs. And so I truly believe that we can break the cycle of poverty and lack that we see all around us. And it's people like you and I and the people that are listening and the viewers that we have that ability to do it. So that is really what's been so much on my heart, Melanie, over the last few months, when I've actually seen the real raw truth of where we are at the moment in the country.
I think it's wonderful that you're bringing to light the fact that it is a responsibility that we all hold. And I also think it's amazing that you are just putting words to what I feel in my heart as well, which is that this is a great opportunity to do great work. This is possibly the biggest opportunity we've ever faced to do something meaningful.
I really and truly believe that there's just so much we can do that's essential needs out there. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. That I qualified as a maths teacher, I qualified in psychology, and I studied medicine. And then I had a crisis and chaos entered my life. And I became a single mom. My husband was killed in an air crash. And I had to feed my 2 little girls. And I started using my gifts and talents and doing small little projects. So I had to start finding what were my inner true God-given gifts, which I thought were all in those areas. However, different. So after that tragedy, there was so much pain. I was at a crossroads. And I think it's through tragedy and desperation that like really great things are birthed. You know, so from ashes can come beauty. So I had these two little girls, Sam and Nikki, who were very young, very innocent, and their dad had been killed in an air crash. So I was left, it was like poverty, despair, both physically, mentally, financially. It just started to grip me. And I thought, I either sink or I swim. So there was very little choice. If you've got two little girls, you've got to feed them. And so there were just so many amazing examples of where I could see my gift coming through. And one of my best friends said to me, her husband was in the computer industry. And it's just a great little story of how I kind of started. Her husband was in the computer industry. And in those days, 30 years ago, they used to set up these, you know, their stands, call it, at Nazareth, and, you know, near the university. So she said, why don't you take this and set it up and we'll pay you to do this? So I said, amazing. And it would have fed my girls for the next, say. So I loaded everything, all their computers into my little yellow Renault, and off I went and I started assembling. Made a few trips, by the way, with plants and Persians and whatever I had in my home. And I had beautiful stuff in my home, but that was from past days. So I took everything I could find and I made this most amazing computer stand. But while I was working, creating this for this big show that was about to open the next day, there was a person standing there and he looked like a very smart security guard. So I said to him, do you mind just helping me? And so he was helping me hang the art, move the pictures, move the computers. And then we worked together for about 3 hours, and he was really amazing with his help and everything. And then I said, do you mind just vacuuming here so we can just get this place looking stunning? And then it looked amazing. So we stepped back and it really did look awesome. And that was just raw talent coming through there. Just like rawness of using what I was good at and just doing it. And I didn't actually know I was that good at it, but I was doing it because there was a great need, and that was two little girls that needed to be fed. And then I stood back. I said, come, let's stand back and let's go and have a look at, let's take a look and see how it looks. And so I said, I really hope that Don Gray being the chairman, I really hope Don Gray loves this. So he looks at me and he goes, I am Don Gray. So he said, I've had the best afternoon of my life. I've had the most afternoon of my life. I love the way you work. So things like that just grew my business with incidences, and then did his offices in the Carlton Center, and then he introduced me to his colleagues, the senior partners at Anderson Consulting. And so the one partner said, okay, I've just got these little frames to frame. We do these degrees and things. I said, no problem. And off I went to go and do that. So that was obviously on another day. And so I went away to do that. Then I was coming back and with my Hilti nail and my little yellow Renault. And there was like toy-toying going on in Commissioner Street. And I had to be there at 3 o'clock and they were in my way. So I was just like hooting and had my window down and saying, excuse me, please, can you move out the way? Excuse me, will you please move out the way? Excuse me. And they were like going there like mad. And I wove my little yellow Renault through the streets of Johannesburg, which is now very downtown Johannesburg, up to Carlton Center to get to Anderson Consulting's fancy offices.
Yes.
To go and deliver the little frames. Anyway, little did I know that the senior partner was looking down, and he saw this like little snaky yellow Renault snaking its way through all these people and being on time at 3 o'clock and holding my little Hilti and my one and only black skirt and my little high heel shoe, hang up his art. And he goes, I've never seen commitment like that. So I said, well, I said I'll be at 3, and I told you I'm going to hang up your art. And so he said, I just love the way you work. So that was Don Gray's lovely big firm, and then Anderson Consulting. But it really was stepping out into the unknown and just going and just doing what I had to do. So then I started to build a business, and you know, they were really tough years, because I was adamant that the 2 girls would have a very good education, and that I'd allow them to maximize their potential. So although we were living on baked potatoes and mashed potatoes, they were doing ballet and went to private schools and had violin lessons and French lessons. So, you know, I really did have my priorities straight. So, but my table was always beautifully set with my best linen and silver and candlesticks, fresh flowers, and a potato. And I remember a young playmate coming over and saying, oh, wow, so who's coming for dinner? So the reply was, we are, my sister and I. And so there was always this amazing love of a mother, and we did it with style and panache. And I used to take them to the fabric launches and dress them like little models and ballerinas, and really dress them up. And then they would land up on the brochures of the fabric house, dressed in the fabric of the fabric house. So we have many fantastic memories, really tough times, but times where there was so much love. There was just so much life in our lives, you know, that I didn't let the lack of finances or another person in my life stop me from these 2 beautiful girls that I had to bring up. Anyway, today Nikki is a human rights lawyer, one of the world's top law firms, and she does some amazing, she's got 3 law degrees, and she does some incredible things like constitutional court things, fighting for human rights. And she really learned from, you know, giving to the poor in those days when we had so little. In the potato days, we'd give to people that had far less than we had, but we were always giving from the little we had. And then Sam, her sister is slightly older. They both grew up under my desk with lots of crayons and highlighters and Koki pens and Vivaldi and beautiful smelling candles. So Sam is a very good architect. She qualified as an architect. And she does amazing, beautiful spaces. And she gives job opportunities to, you know, through her builders, shop fitters, contractors that she appoints. So I believe that the decisions that we make and that we face with great pain and tragedy can actually influence others and actually change the face of a family, as it did in my family, and change the face of a nation.
So what I find very interesting about your story is you studied to be a teacher and you studied medicine. Why did you not go into those fields?
I stopped medicine when I was studying, and I studied psychology, and I had to earn a living. So I stopped my medical studies when all of this happened.
Okay.
And I had to earn a living, so I just did exactly that.
And there was no earning a living in those fields?
No, because I hadn't qualified as a doctor.
Okay. Okay, so you were still in the studying process?
In the studying process, yeah.
Okay.
And there was just too much that I had to get on with. So I stopped my studies. In fact, I gave my books to a really fabulous girl who couldn't afford the books. And just the other day, 30 years later, I found a note she wrote to me. She said, I cannot believe all of these books you've given me. I'm just so grateful. And I hope our paths cross again one day. So I was going to look her up. Anyway, so my gift emerged and it started to develop. I was asked to do the Star Home Show in those days. I don't know if you remember those. And, you know, we'd have the developers would actually, there would be 10 builders, 10 architects, and 10 designers. And they would put us all together. So they'd put one architect, one designer, and one builder together. And then they'd give us 9 months. We'd have to finish this project. So that was great. So I used to do those. I used to do at least one of those a year we used to do. And that gave me so much work because I created for the visitors like a real experience. And I started realizing that design is about experience. And so I started giving them experiences. So people would queue up to see the homes that I'd created. And it was like one weekend, it was sweltering hot. And I thought we need to maximize this and ensure that whoever visits us remembers us. So I bought massive buckets of ice, water, and juices, and dressed my guys up in beautiful outfits. And they walked up and down handing out water with ice and lemon and mint with our DVR brochures. And so it was just continuously seeing the opportunity, meeting the needs. So it was like meeting needs. When it was winter with a home show, we'd have fires going, a violinist playing, serving carrot cake and tea. And people, Melanie, to this day, still tell me about the time that they visited us. So I believe that whatever we're doing in our field, it's got to create an experience for the person. And it really, in my case, was creativity in action. Like they go, oh, wow, now you've got a violinist and you've got a fire lit, and it's like creativity in action. So it's not just about designing a beautiful room and getting furniture plonked into it. It's really about an experience. And so the business kept growing from very small beginnings. Jobs were pouring in. And I knew that I had to keep staying out in the marketplace, my brand. And also, whatever I did, I made sure I did it with a bit of pizzazz and passion, and I was really focused and in the moment. Like if I was doing something, I did it properly or not at all. So if we did those star home shows, I would go all out, and my suppliers would catch that energy. And they would go, wow, we're right behind you. We want to do this with you. And so we'd have the suppliers, we'd have everyone's energy would be so high. So when your energy is high, and you've got your vision and you focus, the people in your space catch that energy and they catch that drive and creativity. And so as big teams, we would do this together. Suppliers, the contractors, the builders, everybody. And it would just be a one great marketing, beautiful experience. And I've still got clients from those days. Then Garden and Home, you remember Garden and Home, the magazine? They started to ask me to do color talks around the country. So I started, and first it was just around the areas that I stayed in, which was Johannesburg, and then it was Cape Town, and then Durban, which is fine, and I would go and do that. But then it became like right out in the Platteland places, like really far, and the sugar fields, and what the sub-editor would do, what was her name, Ilse, she was so passionate about these color talks, and it was, I think, every Thursday, or no, not every Thursday, it was like one Thursday a month or 2 Thursdays a month. Off we'd trek into the blue yonder, in the blue van, loaded up with the color wheels and fabrics and samples and stuff. And it was, the way she'd do it is she'd call all the people and she'd gather about 200 people in like a big town hall. And I'd do my talk, and I'd stay in one of the ladies' beautiful guest houses. And so really, when I think back what I was doing, I was creating a brand. I was networking. I was creating a database all those many years ago. And especially clients. Some of those are still my clients. So it's really about, especially with media, is to never, ever say no. Is just never, even doesn't matter how busy you are. Like if they phone me and they say, do you have anything to say about floor trends now? And I'd say, sure, no problem. I'll send it to you tomorrow. So over the years, I've made sure that anytime there's something that's related to media or like this interview, that I'll say yes to it, because firstly, it spreads your, and it's just one way of actually making sure that you're connected to your audience. Anyway, so now we've gone around this. We did this for about 3 years, just always going around the countryside. And then they asked me to write a course and take all my color talks, make it into a course, which I did. And it turned into a correspondence course. A 1-year correspondence course began. And then the business really started to grow. And to fast forward, the students met at the beginning of each quarter for seminars, and they did books. Their creativity grew, and we had the most incredible people. We had from doctors, attorneys, lawyers, dentists, accountants, all over those 12 years. Besides me running my design business, we had we had the academy running as correspondents, but I had people, obviously, evaluators and that, working with it. And so I'm over those 12 years, we had 2,000 students through our doors. And some of these students have businesses in various fields of design and creating successful businesses. They're creating jobs. And I bumped into them at Decorex. I bumped into one at Home Fabrics the other day. She goes, says to my client, "You're really working with the best." So she taught me.
So that's very interesting. Were a lot of the people a lot of the people who were attending your correspondence courses then people who wanted to pivot out of one field into a new one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Particularly people that were in accounting and things like that. I had a civil engineer guy who came and did it, and it became his hobby. And he started developing properties, and he'd phone me and say, "I've bought another property, and just come and check that I'm doing it right." So people they didn't necessarily give up what they were doing, but it added to their tapestry of their life, just to have something that was like really more creative.
That's very interesting, because you kind of don't think of doctors and engineers and that wanting to be interested in color that much.
They loved it. They'd like sit in the front seat, and they were just like, love it. And they go, "This is so different to what we do every day," and I just love it. Because remember, our semester days were like, they were a serious day. We would have our suppliers set up like these beautiful big, their stands, and they would talk and I would talk, and it was a full day, which was really a magnificent day. And I had my evaluators, so we made it a grand event. Now, just to go back to that, and people, one of my most fulfilling moments was the graduation ceremony one Saturday afternoon. And this all started from Maxi Prison. Now, we had the post that used to arrive, and Nikki, my daughter, had to open all the post. So she opened all the post, and she said to me, "Mom, please say yes to this." So I said, "Okay, what must I say yes to?" She said, "This is an envelope. You need to read it and say yes." So it was from a prisoner in Maxi Prison who had heard about the Design Academy and wanted to have a bursary. So I said, yes. So over the time, we had between 6 and 10 Maxi prisoners graduating through the academy. So that Saturday afternoon, Nikki was with me with their, I think it was their chaplain and our driver and some people. We went to go and graduate them in their graduation gowns right in the middle of that horrible prison. So then, to me, what I realized, Melanie, is that they may be in prison, but the gift buried within them had been set free and released. So maybe they were physically in prison, but their gift had been released and set free. And they used to have like one phone call a month that phone the coordinators that discuss things. And it was not only my evaluators, when they would speak to these different people, it wasn't only about design, but they were redefining themselves as human beings as they were speaking and learning. And I really believe that creativity is just such an amazing way of healing. There's just something that happens. And on that course, there were people that had lost spouses, that had gone through trauma, and doing that course is not so much the course, it was just dealing with creativity within themselves. Things were starting to happen. And for me, that's what brought me so much joy. So just to get back to the prisoner guys, we'd get pages that were jagged, they couldn't have scissors, but one of them loved creating furniture from the pictures in the modules. So he found the woodworking facility in the prison, and he started teaching woodworking, and they then started building the furniture for the prisons. So his gift really emerged. And it was shortly after, it was about a few months ago, that I got via LinkedIn a request he sent me a message saying, you won't remember me, but you may remember me. I was in Maxi prison. I'm out, and I was the one that you taught about the woodworking. I don't know anything about woodworking, but he learned from my beautiful images about the woodworking, and he's opened a factory in Rudaport, and he would like me to come and visit it.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, this is from a little envelope. The little envelope that arrived to this whole huge implication of what happened right at the end was just amazing.
That's incredible.
So there's so much healing that takes place.
Yes.
And we had lots of other things where we had people that had been sexually abused, where they couldn't, they couldn't open, the one girl couldn't open her files because she had been sexually abused when she was doing her homework by her father. And she just couldn't bring herself to open those files. But my evaluators persevered with her, helped her, and she just found her gift. And she actually turned up, stood at the graduation ceremony, and she wanted to be the guest speaker because we always had a guest speaker. And she actually told her story. And today, I mean, we visited her in Umhlanga Rocks, and she has got the most successful business. And she employs so many people. She's got a magnificent home, beautiful, married to an amazing guy, and 2 beautiful children. So she found her gift through pain, suffering, and I think it's all related to creativity and everything. Yeah. So, and then I developed my little design in a box kit, which is a little urban chic box, which taught young designers about design. That was another little thing which we did. And another thing I've realized amidst all of this is that as I see clutter and things like that, just generally, I'm not talking about clients, I'm just talking about when we as human beings we start, if something starts happening inside our innermost beings, because I realize that our personal space reflects what's actually going on within ourselves. And I just see this throughout the last 30 years, that as personal spaces start looking more and more beautiful, that inside space starts growing and getting cleansed, and old things getting left behind. And, you know, when there's that clutter, that people don't want to get rid of some of that clutter because it's reminding them of something that happened, and they don't want to let that go. So when we can break through that, you know, and let it go and start afresh, or if it's something that's valuable and is sentimental, or recover in a magnificent fresh fabric. So I just think by creating spaces of beauty, we're actually giving ourselves permission to who we truly are, and just allowing our inner beauty to come forward. So I think it's like an expression of our inner beauty. And so I think this beauty can get blocked by life's traumas.
Absolutely. Those are very, very beautiful reflections. Thank you for sharing them with us.
And so I think there's such power in creativity that I truly believe, Melanie, that we were all born with a gift of creativity. That it may be very small, it may be hidden, but we are born with a gift of creativity. And so we can transform it from something small into something that's beautiful. And it can take so many different forms. It can be in a business, communications, visual arts, technical, craftsmanship, graphic arts. And we see more and more, Melanie, in the competitive world that we're in, creativity is welcomed at any level of an organization. And people who can bring new ideas, new techniques, increase productivity, they're welcomed with open arms. So creativity is really, for me, one of the most important gifts that we have got. And I believe that creativity is all about solving a problem and satisfying needs. And I see this when I go into a client's home. What is it that we need to do here? What is the needs that need to be satisfied? And so it's really working through and doing that. And I've also come to realize, this is like really wow, okay. I've come to realize that creativity is a renewable resource. Absolutely. That we can tap into it at any time. And it doesn't just stop. it just keeps going and it keeps getting bigger and better. So we can develop it. And I think it's actually our way of surviving. So, but it does take effort to increase our creativity. I practice that skill, and I personally schedule at least a half an hour of inspiration time per day, quiet time, prayer time, inspiration time. Because if we don't prioritize that for ourselves, then no one else will do that for us. So I find that this uninterrupted time really fuels my creative muscles, and I find that if I don't, then I become like creatively anemic, and that's just a bad space to be in. You want to be, you want to have that creativity strong, like a good muscle. It's not a magic potion.
I find it hard to believe that you would ever be creatively anemic. I feel it pouring out of you.
So we want to continuously operate in that originality zone, and that design zone. So that's, I make sure I do that daily. And I think the most important thing as well is to share those gifts with the world, and to do it with absolute courage and confidence, and just let that gift of creativity, which I believe has been put there for a purpose, and that we need to activate that gift. We do that by being curious, by not running away from challenges, not being afraid to experiment, setting ourselves high standards.
So I know a lot of people find that courage component quite tricky to find in themselves. Where does your boundless courage come from?
I believe that there's no such thing as no, firstly, and my suppliers also know that, and so do the contractors on site. So there's like a basic belief system that I have. And my daughter, who's a lawyer, I'll give you an example. We have a big open plan space, and the dining room leads outside to a beautiful lawn area, and there's a massive big umbrella over the garden furniture. And she was sitting doing some work that she had to do. No, I was doing some work. That's right. She is upstairs. And she overheard me saying to my driver, I said, would you mind bringing that? There was a skylight and there was a lot of light coming in. So I said, would you mind bringing that huge umbrella inside? So she said, could you not just be a normal mother? You know, you bring a big umbrella inside. So every time we get like a massive challenge, she goes, you're not bringing an umbrella inside. It's not one of those moments. So there's just no such thing as you can't find a solution. You just can't find a solution. You've got to keep looking at where it is. There's a possibility. And I think that the confidence comes, as I say, it's like a muscle. The more and more you develop it, the better and better you become. And also, I find the more and more we share it with others, I find myself like getting better at it as well, you know, and teaching and sharing and my clients, they love it because they go, I love being in this zone. My one accountant client, he'd arrive at our big old house on the hill and he'd say, I love being in this design zone. And he just says, it's the highlight of my week. And then when you get like into this design zone and problems get solved and things happen. Anyway, so
what I also loved about what you said is, so a lot of people think that creativity is this kind of ethereal thing that you just do. I love that in your words earlier, you connected creativity to serving needs. And that for me, I think, is a very, very important thing that a lot of people overlook.
It's like a kernel to this whole thing. And the other thing that I think that through running my business, I've realized on the, I don't want to say the non-creative side, but the business side, is that I'm actually responsible for the outcome of this business. that I have to take ownership of it. There was a time when there would be accountants and bookkeepers when I really grew very large. It was like they were up there in accountancy heaven, sitting up there, and I'd say, just make it work. But no, it's not that. I've become so responsible for the outcome, and I've taken ownership of the clients, the finances, and the projects. It doesn't just esoterically happen. And through the years, I've realized I've got to have 4 beacons at all times. The first one is my budget per project. So if the client has a specific budget, that's what it is. Then I need to know what my profits are for that project, both gross profit and net profit, because if I don't have profit, I can't pay staff. And then I need to look at what am I doing with my time, which is my third beacon. How am I using my time? Because I can get so, as you know, Melanie, it's so nice to get just to do amazing things. I've got to say 80% of my time is running my business. 20% is doing this amazing, you know, networking and speeches and media stuff. So I've got to keep that 80-20%. 80% focus on your business. Keep your eye on the ball. Know what you're doing. And then also, what am I filling my space with? Like what projects, what activities are filling my time? So I know those beacons at any point in time, that otherwise it's like flying upside down in an airplane. And one of the most important things I think that I've really learned, and in many of this through the hard way, and that to stay in a liquid cash flow situation is absolutely vital in business. So for me, cash is king, and I just can't emphasize that enough. That if you can't afford that newest laptop, then just do it when you can. So, because I felt when I did go through a very difficult cash flow crisis many years ago, I realized that cash stress, the cash flow stress, literally crippled my creativity. It distorted any good decision making. So now those 4 beacons that I was talking to you about are crucial to me. I just keep those right there. And I know what the overheads are. I know if we can afford something new. If we can't, we can't. Yeah, and I just find that that's just so vital.
So am I hearing you say that you do say no if it's not financially sustainable?
Are you talking about your project?
Yes. So if a client comes to you with an unrealistic expectation of what they can get for their budget, how do you handle that?
Oh, how do I handle that? We don't say no to that. I show them what they can do within their budget.
Okay.
And many times, actually, that's a very good that's a very good question. In times like that, not everyone has got a large budget, and not everyone needs a designer to do everything themselves. So in situations like that, I offer consultancy. And so I say, let me consult with you, and I'll tell you what you need, how to do it, where to go. You do the running, and when you need me, call me, and I'll come back for another 1 or 2 hours or 3 hours consultancy. So they're still getting the DVR brand, but they're not getting everything they're not getting the full menu. But they're still getting it, and I'm directing them where to go and how to do it. And so we've had many situations like that. You know, we had one 5 years ago where someone couldn't afford a huge full menu type of a project. So we helped them on a basis of small little things. And right now, actually, we're busy with their dream home. So they remembered how we handled that. So we didn't say no to them when they had very little. And now that they've got their dream home, she goes, right, now we want to do our dream home. So I think every opportunity needs to be looked at. And I think, yeah, I don't think there's a reason to say no. There may be a reason to say no. You can't have French fabric from Italy, but you can have this beautiful fabric. You know, so there's always a way through it. So I've got a couple of slides, if I may show you.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Okay, cool. So this is showing you there we go. Oopsie. Right, no, that's not the slide we wanted. There we go. Not that one either. Right. Okay, so here we go. These are my two little girls many years ago, Sam and
That's
Nikki.
such a cute picture.
So cute. They like always used to be dressed up like little models. So really cute. And that is my blue van. I'll make this bigger. So that's the blue van. There we go, cool. So when I eventually bought this stunning new blue van, brand new out the box, we put the branding on it, and this is what used to take us all over the country with the big color wheels and all the things that we do. And to get more clients, my driver would park this at like really amazing shopping centers, at sporting events, anywhere where there was lots of people. And I get people phoning me on Monday and saying, I've seen your blue van everywhere. How many vans have you got? You've got such a big fleet of these blue vans. They were just like they were strategically parked with big phone numbers on it. And yeah, we used to get so many clients just looking at that.
That's such a great plan that's what they call guerrilla marketing at its best.
So I'm going to show you a project. This is a project I did in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur. And it was a referral from a client that I did in Cape Town. And this person, it was Malaysian bank or something like that. And he then moved back to Malaysia, and he was in a big board meeting, and the chairman said, we need this new development, because this is like a show unit we had to do for a very large housing, apartments, shopping, etc., a whole mixed use development. So he said to his whole board, we need to get somebody who can give the wow factor. So Mr. Chu said, I know exactly the lady. She's in Johannesburg. And so they flew me and my daughter there, that's Sam, the architect. And these were some of my inspiration pictures. Being in Kuala Lumpur, I get my inspiration from things in my space. Like in there, it was like the fashion trends. It was their culture, the beautiful natural elements. The brand we were developing for them, they're very brand conscious. So we used a lot of the colors from the international brands. That was the show unit, and we had to have the reception area. We had the reception area here. And then you go into like a drinks area. You walk down there, there's an audiovisual space. You go into the big show unit, and then that's the deal area. So we had to take an existing building and create this and really have that wow factor. So that was my inspiration, again, as I said, for those lights. That was for the Chanel. I was so inspired with the Chanel brand and all these beautiful thin lines. You know, and the crisp whiteness. So I used Chanel. There was lovely inspiration there, and just seeing the detail in fashion and how I could bring that into my designs. So it's like high fashion and interior design like meet, and it was really so beautiful. And so that was, sorry, let's go back. Yeah, so that was the discussion lounge.
That's gorgeous.
So you can see like how it's finely defined, the Chanel coming through there, the natural elements in those beautiful green carpets, the foresty feel of those chairs, the white, the crisp whiteness. And then you can see the lighting is thin, beautiful, thin strips.
Very beautiful.
And then that was another, in this particular one, I used fashion again as inspiration. And that was a discussion lounge, again, bringing some color in. That was, I think that was Versace, and we had some of the other fashion houses. And so you can see how I brought the greenery from the nature. There's not a lot of natural elements, but they have got beautiful parks. So I brought that into the chairs and some color, because now this is high-rise apartments that they. And so this was my design rationale, bringing some of the forests from in and using it in architectural details.
Mm.
And then also the Armani Hotel was there. So just bringing those strips. Let me show you where I put those.
Mm.
There, can you see?
Yes.
Those flats.
Yes.
So that was part of the inspiration there.
I love how you draw inspiration from a variety of places.
Yeah, from nature, from fashion, from the culture themselves, the people themselves I draw inspiration from. So this is inside. This is the dining room inside, and the lights. And then, so this is going to be to bring some sort of nature inside. Let me just show you. So that was the dining room inside. And so that was the pendants I wanted to use with the beautiful dining room table. And I also brought the Armani colors in there. And yeah, those magnificent, fresh, those beautiful deep blues. Loved those colors. And there you can see where our inspiration came from. It was like from twigs. And so we wanted to have this feeling of nature inside this 43rd story up in the sky type of thing. So you had nature coming in a strange way. And at the trees, we brought that into the wood paneling in the dining room. Okay, and finally, let me show you this. This is some before and afters. There's just a few. So this was a project we're actually busy with. So it looked like this, okay, at the moment. So that's the exterior facade.
That's quite 90s.
And so we have to fix it.
Yes.
So, and we had lockdown. And so we had to show them what it would look like if it was painted.
Oh, wow.
So there's nothing we can do about the architecture. We couldn't do anything about architecture. It is what it is.
Yes.
It is what it is. But we can do something about the inside, but this is outside. And we can change the balustrading, the 1990s balustrading. We can get to this here.
Whoever thought that was a good idea?
And so we can change it to something as beautiful as that.
That's amazing.
Like balustrading. So at the moment, the balustrading is happening, the builder's building, and this all happened during lockdown.
Wow.
And so that was a color palette we sent the client for the insides. That is the inside at the moment. I was on site 2 days ago. So outside there, you can see the balustrading. So this is inside. So this is, they had built it before I got there. There's a fireplace over there. This is going to be the dining room. And this is the what we call in the wow lounge. And that's what we want it to look like.
Wow, that is going to be beautiful.
Yeah, so that's what it is. And that's what we want it to look like.
Sure.
And we showed them different things with different colors. So that's what it is at the moment. That's the dining room over here. I've suggested we break that wall out. It is now broken down. So you can look, the wow lounge, dining room and kitchen all look into each other.
Yes.
So that look into each other. So, I mean, that flows now. That wall doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
And that's the
and you're doing away with the beams at the top also that are sticking out like that.
Yeah, we're putting we're doing a proper flush plastered ceiling. So now the wall is broken through and you're standing back and looking at the fireplace. We've used beautiful cladding. The fireplace, we've given them like a beautiful drinks cabinet and gorgeous lighting. That's a sliding door to cover the TV area. So it's like a sliding wall.
That's quite a transformation.
That's a kitchen as it is.
Yeah.
I said to the builder the day before, said, please can you take these blinds down at least? And I even said to the plot leader, I said, do you want them? He said, no.
Yeah, they're kind of shocking, aren't they?
I said, but you can wash them. He says, no. So the kitchen, if you have a look at the back here, there's a beautiful rock wall. Can you see that? It's stunning. So I wanted to capitalize on that. Just keep that in mind. So that's now what it's going to look like.
Okay.
So we've broken that big wall, that window. We've extended it.
Yes.
Like that. Okay. To incorporate that as a feature.
Yes. What a great idea.
Yeah. And just to transform the whole kitchen into something beautiful. And that's what it's looking like. And that's what it's going to look like.
Wow, that's an amazing transformation.
And just have a look here. Do you see here? As I stood on site, this is what I talk about creativity. If I'm going to close this whole thing in here, then I've got to solve the problem of how do I bring light in. Okay, so creativity is solving problems. So I've got to now bring light in because I'm going to enclose this. So the client goes, no, you're not enclosing the window. So then I would say, well, then you don't have enough cupboard space. But let me tell you, I can solve it. I'm going to cut this up here, and I'm going to put a beautiful big window up at the top. We have things like the builder going, no, you can't do that. It's going to cost too much. So I said, I can do it, but it's going to cost too much. He goes, yeah, exactly. Anyway, it's got a window in at the moment. So look how beautiful that is. So now we're getting lovely west light coming in. And we've got all the cupboard she needs, her cooking things, the hob, everything. So it's beautiful. That's the pantry at the moment. Not the pantry, scullery. That's what it's going to look like. So you'll notice I've changed the position of doors, changed things.
Quite impressive.
Okay, just one or two more. This was a new build in Waterfall, and the client wanted a really glamorous, beautiful home. So I used navy blue as a color because that's just so glamorous. Dark navies with some gold and ivory and those type of colors. And she wanted a magnificent bedroom. So this is the bedroom with the ceiling about to go in. Okay, that's leading into the dressing room area. So I chose this vibrant blue, this really magnificent blue, and I used white as my contrast colors. And I used a lot of bulkheads with natural lighting, with LED lighting and really beautiful chandeliers. And that's the bedroom.
Wow, what an improvement.
So there's your chandeliers, there's the bulkheads, beautiful Christian Fischbacher magnificent drapes.
That's really beautiful.
So it's you see, when we have a client, you've got to meet what their need is. It's not about what we want. It's like, tell me what you want, then you think about it, pray about it, be inspired, and you go, oh wow, okay, I know it. This is what we're going to give her. And she loves it. She absolutely loves it. Put a fireplace in there. So it's for her, it's just her haven. She goes upstairs and she loves it.
What a beautiful space.
Yeah, it's a stunning space. And that's a dressing table with perfume bottles. You know, clients have perfume bottles all over the place. So I just group things together. I use a lot of natural flowers. I love using silk and linens. You know, and it's really about creating an experience. And this little cute, this is the final, I think it's almost finished. This little house, it was just this house. And this client wanted to enlarge it. So this then was the next building, and this was the next building. So I want to show you how did we combine the two buildings, the new buildings. How did we make the house bigger? Okay, let me tell you how we did it. Very clever architect. We took this and made it the spine going down the house. Okay, that's inside now, combining the two different buildings. There we go. So that's the little old house in the background.
Yes.
We created a spine going down the house.
Yes.
That way. This is a magnificent guest suite, and this is her lounge entertainment area.
That's beautiful.
And then the garden process when I took the shot. But let me show you. How beautiful is that? It's a proper, how gorgeous is that?
Sure, that's lovely.
Spine, which, what I realized the client loved, she loves art and she collects beautiful art and sculptures and all types of things. She collects that as her hobby. And so I created an art gallery for her. So you walk through the front door, you go through the front door, and I took her art, reframed it, grouped it, took her some beautiful little pieces of furniture she loved, reupholstered, used rugs that were in other rooms, pulled them in, got some really stunning lighting, and we used the existing front doors. So she was really happy with that. So you walk down here, and that's the entertainment, and on the other side is your guest. So this is like like an axis through the house.
That's
and
beautiful.
using things she loved. A scatter she bought in Morocco, and a chair she had, and bottles she bought. So instead of having them scattered all over the place, I grouped them together for her, and she loved it. So it's her art gallery. It's just, so that's the entertainment area.
I love the light that comes in there.
So beautiful. It's
Yeah,
really
from that
beautiful.
arched window on the end is beautiful.
Yeah. So all of this takes a lot of time, effort, thinking, inspiration. You get inspiration from the client. Also, I get my inspiration from what the clients have got, like their art, and the pillow from Morocco, you know, gives me ideas of colors. Finally, this was such a cute little project in Neisner. This is the final little one I chose to show you. It's on the Neisner heads. The client phoned us in June, clients we've done lots of work for, and they were from London, and he said, we bought this property and we want to have Christmas here. So we met him in Neisner on the heads. This is the property. And so we walked down, you walk down from there, and this is what it started looking, this is what it looked like. It was very run down. And you think, what on earth have they done? Like, and they want it in 6 months.
Okay.
And it's away from our offices, you know. Right, so we we had a great team of contractors, builders, amazing building team. Sam my daughter is an amazing architect. So she was like a champion. She was the principal designer of this. She was amazing, and she's in Cape Town, so she could travel up and down. She was just outstanding. So that's what we converted it into.
Wow, that's beautiful.
That to that.
Sure.
And we used this beautiful colors. You know where my inspiration, Melanie, came from there was when I looked out at the sea, it was very murky. So I used these murky colors. You'll see these colors are quite a murky sea color.
It's beautiful.
And we had this all custom made by an Eisner factory. We try and use the local people in those areas. We don't bring, you know, we want to support what's going on in the factories around where we. So that's looking out. That's very special. Sam, wondering when she's going to be going home. And that's how we hand a project over, by the way. We have champagne, flowers, cookies, all sorts of things.
Wow. So it's really a full service experience.
Oh, yeah. No, they walk in, their beds are made, the music's playing, towels are out for swimming. No, they walk in, it's done. They walk in and they live there. They had Christmas there.
That's magnificent.
Yeah, so we had to have these huge doors made. We really need a massive, very good company because of the wind up here. So these are like really very, very high quality. And it's got a fireplace. So when it's cold, you close the doors, you sit there and you can see the sea. Yeah, so that's...
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so that's what we do.
Sure. That is a wonderful story. Thank you so much for sharing it with us today. I feel very privileged to have had that little window into your life. That's absolutely amazing.
Thank you. It's been so lovely to chat to you.
Yes. So if anybody would like to find you online, where can they find you?
Oh, okay. They'd get me at my website, on my website. It's got our contact details on it, which is www.dvr, Delta Victor Romeo.co.za.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for giving us this inspiring window into your world today.
It's such a pleasure. Thank you so much, Melanie. God bless. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
It's a pleasure.
God bless.